our accounts there? You want to address that?
I don't know that they've done anything outside of their banking duties for us, no.
Okay, Ms. Adams, do you have a,
Well, the two highest bids are Farmers and Merchants Bank. Their bid is 4.25%. And the second highest is First Community Bank, which is 4.17%. The difference is about $1,000 for it over a period of a year.
okay,
I would recommend that we go with First Community Bank because they have been very generous with the library. They help sponsor events for us, and they come to events and bring their cooker and they cook food for us, and they sponsor us monetarily too. And so I think that it would just be a good idea that if we did, if we selected First Community Bank and over any of the others for that reason, but also because the difference is really negligible for the interest.
okay.
We have some book drop-offs at First Community Bank too, correct?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
They,
A book drop? Yes.
yes, we
Yeah.
got two, or at least.
Yeah, good
Yeah.
point. There's two of them, yeah. So they're very community-minded and they're very library-minded, and they've done a lot for us. And I think that if we gave our business to them, it would help us both.
Okay.
So there's nothing that says we have to take the highest.
Right.
No.
Right.
No, because.
I mean, and there's nothing against Farmers and Merchants
No,
Bank at
no, no.
all. It's just that First Community seems to be one that really cares about the library, and it benefits us financially.
So this is an annual thing we're gonna do every year?
Every 2 years.
2 years.
We've learned that the interest rates are a little better if we do it at a 2-year base. So that's one of our criteria that we ask, and we leave it open for them to submit a longer contract, like if they wanted to. And we did have one. Southern Bank did submit a 3-year agreement. But usually everybody just sticks with the 2 that we ask for.
And Southern Banks was a variable.
They presented fixed rates and variable rates for us.
Oh, they did do a fixed also.
Mhm.
But the ceiling is just 4.5, so
Yeah.
I don't think it'd be much, advantage to, it'd be more negative than
In
positive.
today's economy,
Yeah.
more and more of them are gonna do a variable, because that gives them a lead to get out of a higher rate if necessary. Yeah, so if we can fix in for 2 years with First Community Bank at 4.17, I agree. I think that's probably our best bet, especially with all of the things that they are doing without having our account for the library, which is good.
Well, I like them because they seem to be real community-minded too. And I don't use them, but I know they've done a lot for the teachers and stuff like that.
Do I hear someone make a motion then as to who we have for our bank for this next, for the next 2 years?
I'll make it.
Okay, go.
I move that we switch to First Community Bank, with our accounts here. They seem to be the most logical.
Okay, motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Ready to vote?
I, Kaylee Lister.
I, Shallon Tate.
I, Mike Johnson.
I'm Michael Watkins.
I, Janice Griffin.
Mark Nichols.
Motion's been approved. Okay. Next is the director's report.
Okay, before I get to the January statistics, I wanted to introduce our new public relations and marketing manager. He is T-Rail Bowie. He's sitting over here, manning Kaylee case.
Yes.
Reporting. So So we didn't know that he would do in a pinch for this, but, T-Rail comes from KLEK, but he's originally from Little Rock, and he has a lot of nonprofit, experience in marketing and also retail experience, so he can kind of give us a good retail eye and a nonprofit eye. So we're very happy to have him, and I just wanted you guys to meet him, and I hope you get to know him. And so stop by and see him, and you'll be seeing him at all the events. He works with Chrissy. So welcome, T-Rail. We're happy to
Yeah,
have you.
glad to have you aboard, for sure.
Now, for January statistics, in Jonesboro, we had 12,889 people in the library. We circulated 15,262 books. We added 1,204 to our collection, and we opened 355 new library accounts for patrons. Total number of card holders now is 47,113. For program, the adult services had 38 programs in January and saw 461 people. Youth services programs were 3,857. No, that's wrong.
Yeah.
They didn't have.
That's a pretty busy January.
They had 38. I don't know where this 57 came from.
Okay, all right.
They were very busy. Anyway,
All right,
wow, as soon
scratch
as I
that out,
read it,
it's
I
38.
realized. They had 38 programs and they saw 711 people, and that number's right, I know.
That's great.
So just scratch that 57 off. I'm so sorry.
It's all right.
So we did really well in January. And January is usually a pretty slow month, but it was pretty good with 12,000. We're already up in February.
I was gonna ask you, did the weather force us to cancel any programs?
Well, we did have to shut down 2 days because of
days.
ice, so we did miss some programming. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well,
But
that's
January
excellent.
was good.
That's excellent for the,
And 355 new library cards. I thought that was pretty well done for January. But it was, and youth services had 38 programs. So sorry.
do you make a note, a difference between an adult library card and a child's?
We do. We have a teen card, a children's card, and an adult card.
So the number of new library cards is the total of those three?
Yes, it is. Total.
Okay. Is there any way to break that down into the other numbers? Or
I
is that
can
good?
try. The system we're using that we're probably gonna try to eliminate this year is hard to get reports out of.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if I can get a breakdown, but I can try.
Well,
I can try.
Not every time, I'm just interested in maybe a year-end report with the total number, how many of them fall into those categories.
Okay, all right.
Because we certainly have a lot of people being served in the youth services program.
We do.
Yeah, so I imagine that we get a lot of kids in here doing that.
Oh, yeah, we do. And we have Tiny Tales twice a week, and it's gotten so big, we're gonna have to add another, class.
Session?
Or another session, yeah. So, Miss Stacy's doing really well.
That's great.
Yeah, we're very pleased. And I also included in my report the, library mentions in the Jonesboro Sun. Anytime we have anything in the Sun, I'll have Ally do, a collage like this for you, just so you can see how we're doing in the Sun.
That display of the visual arts, that was held by the Visual Arts League, that was amazing.
Oh, I know.
And the picture that they chose to put in the newspaper, is the newspaper guy here? He's not here.
No, he had another assignment he had to go to.
That was a fabulous picture.
Yeah, I
I
thought
mean,
so too.
that's an amazing artist who could do that,
Mhm.
for sure.
Yeah, Rebecca Gardner won first place. Yeah, that was really a fun event. And we do, we have paintings on display. We have a little art gallery almost all the time here in the library. In March, it's going to be library staff works only, so that'll be interesting.
Can a board member submit one of that?
Sure. Sure.
I was not known for my artistic ability, but I might make a sketch to go there.
Sure, I'm not gonna tell you no.
You would not want anything out of your
All right.
So I have another thing too.
Okay, go ahead.
On number C, on number 4, I'm requesting that we are allowed to be closed on Wednesday, May the 10th for a staff development day. We really need to prepare for summer, and we would like to have some outside presentations related to libraries and customer service. We have some people that can come and speak to the library staff, and really the only way to do that and get everyone is to close. And also we need a refresher on some emergency actions, and we need some crisis management training. So we thought that that would be a good day to do it before we kick off our summer events and get everybody kind of on the same page for summer. So this is something I would need a motion on and a vote, but it's Wednesday, May the 10th.
Okay. So, okay, so we need a motion then for the library to be closed on May the 10th for staff development, all staff members being there. Now, are they paid for staff development day?
Yes.
Is that part of it?
Yes, it would be a paid day.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're gonna be working.
Oh, yeah, but don't, our staff development days built in the calendar to have those? I mean, do you,
Well, we traditionally
In
have
past-
always had one.
okay, so this is the day you're choosing then?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Sometimes it's in the spring, sometimes in the fall. This year we just decided, well, we're gonna do it last November, the day after the election. Need I say more as to why we didn't have it?
Yeah.
So we decided a way to do it this year closer to summer, and that will give all the departments a little extra training for summer to have it
Okay.
in May.
I'll entertain a motion then for that. Mark, how about you?
Sure, I'll make a motion.
Okay? To have Wednesday, May the 10th, the library will be closed for staff development for all personnel.
Correct.
Okay, is there a second? Second to that?
I second it, Janice.
Janice? Okay, we're ready to vote. Any other discussion? Kayla?
Kaylee Lester, aye. Helen Tate, aye.
Mike Johnson, aye.
Michael Watkins, aye.
Janice Griffin, aye.
Mark Nichols, aye.
That motion carries.
Thank you.
That'll be put on the calendar. Okay, the next is policy reviews and updates. We'll take these one at a time.
Okay, there are 5 policies, and this will not take very long. Some
Okay.
of these are minor. It's just all of our policies are up for review. First one is the code of conduct. The second page, what's in red, is what I wanted to add. So staff members will immediately call the in-house security officers to deal with any person found engaging in the above behaviors. The security officer may call law enforcement if deemed necessary by the security officer and/or library management. Before we had security officers, staff would just immediately call law enforcement, and that's why it was like it was.
Yeah.
But we just needed to update it because
So
we have security here now.
So we can see if the in-house security people can handle that without getting the law enforcement involved.
Yes. And it works really well. And
Yes.
The police really appreciate that too.
Sure.
So I just need a motion if
Okay.
unless there's some discussion.
Let's put a motion first. Somebody make a motion to approve it as amended.
I, Michael Watkins, move we amend it as written.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Motion's been made and second. Any further discussion about that? Hearing none, we're ready to vote.
Kaylee Lester, aye. Helen Tate, aye.
Mike Johnson, aye.
Michael Watkins, aye.
Janice Griffin, aye.
Mark Nichols, aye.
That motion's been approved. Computer and internet access policy.
Okay, only what is in red. Under library responsibilities, the library uses SIPA compliant filtering software. Well, SIPA wasn't explained, so I wanted to define it, so I put it in there. It's Children's Internet Protection Act. And then a few lines down, the policies are not posted at each public terminal, they just get torn down. So we just put it at the business center desk, so I just wanted to change that. And then the next page, I just added a word and a couple of little letters where they needed to be, and an apostrophe S, because I was an English major. It drove me crazy.
Okay.
So really, that's all the changes in that one.
Amen. Okay, what's highlighted in yellow?
That's always been highlighted.
Okay, that's just always been that way in policy.
Uh-huh.
Okay, great.
Hey, Vanessa, question though, where the highlighted there, it says library staff cannot provide monitoring and supervision of children's use. What's considered children? I'm just trying to get an age number on that.
Well, we require parents to be with children on the computers, and we're just stressing that the library staff they're not the parent, and parents are the ones that need to be aware of what their children are looking at on the internet.
Yeah. For sure. Okay, so with those insertions that make it certainly a little clearer in a couple of places and better grammar.
Oh, I do have one more question, sorry. Vanessa, you said that that it's ripped down, the policy? Do people just...
I can actually answer that because I work back at that desk. It's not intentional, there are cubicles for the computers, and over time with people putting their backpacks and purses on the cubicles, anything that is hung there gets damaged and torn down.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, I'll entertain a motion then that we approve the computer and internet access policy. Do I hear a motion?
I move that we accept the computer and internet access policy with the changes stated.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second to that?
I'll second it, Michael Watkins.
Okay, any further discussion? If not, ready to vote? Kylie?
Hi, Kaylee Lester.
Shannon Tate.
I'm Mike Johnson.
I'm Michael Watkins.
I'm Janice Griffin.
Martha Nichols.
Motion's been approved then. The next policy update is exhibits and display policy.
This is something, if you look at the bottom of the page, highlighted in yellow, material displays by the library. Maintain an ongoing calendar of our website of all planned displays. All displays must be approved by the library director or designee. This has been in the policy for 2 years, but it is not done. And part of that, the last year, has been my neglect, just because I haven't known everything I needed to know, and it just took me a while to get to this. But do you want to continue? Do you want this to be on the policy, and do you want me to start doing this, or do you want to remove it from the policy?
This would be, okay, so question. The ongoing calendar of our on our website of planned displays and of course the displays are approved by the library director or designee.
Is this something that y'all have in-house, Vanessa? I know like each department already probably has a calendar and a schedule. Is it already being done, I guess is what I'm asking?
Well, yeah, per department it is. It's just there's not a calendar of this on the website. And I know at one time people wanted that done. The public wanted to see what our displays were, like coming up in the next month. And so that was a policy, and I assume it was probably added October 2021. But since I came on, it wasn't done, and then I just haven't installed this as a part of the policy either, just because I just haven't been able to. But now that I've had a little time to kind of calm down and review some of the policies, I realized it wasn't being done. So I just wanted to know if you all wanted to keep it on here and have me start doing it, or do you want to have it taken off?
I personally, I think it needs to be on there. I kind of think since the employees are already doing something similar, each department already having their month-to-month plan, it wouldn't be, I mean, wouldn't
That'd
be,
be coordinated together,
yeah.
put it on the website?
Yes, and we'll have our website manager, put it on the website. We are getting a new website and it should be launched in March, so we will start this with the new website,
Mhm. Okay.
if you all agree. And it's not a lot of trouble to add this or anything, and it does provide more transparency, so it's, you know.
And it's good public information,
It is, yeah,
Okay.
and we're
Yeah.
happy to do it, it's just if you,
okay?
you know, it's up to you.
Okay, if you think this is a good idea, after the motion has been made to approve it, then vote yea. If you don't think it's a good idea, you can vote nay on that. Do I hear a motion to approve this?
Well, I guess, what are we approving? Because the question was, does the board wish for this to be
Yeah,
done or to be
yeah,
removed?
this is,
So
that it will be done,
we're voting for it to, okay,
Be
I
done.
will make a motion for this to be done.
okay? And now we're, is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Okay? Mark made the second. Any further discussion on it? We're ready to vote.
Kaylee Lester, aye.
Shall Tate, aye.
Mike Johnson, aye.
Michael Watkins, aye.
Janice Griffin, aye.
Mark Nichols, aye.
Okay, that's been approved as amended there, or as that, as we have adopted it.
Okay. Lending policy, there are just two items that we need to cross off. On page 2, you'll see a line drawn through eMedia, through Access 360. We just don't purchase from them anymore. So we
Okay.
need that crossed off. And then next page, the Alzheimer's caregiver kits, they were not being checked out, so we decided to add them to a regular rotation of what we share with nursing homes. So at least they would be getting used. And so we wanted to cross them off of items to loan. So we'll take them out of the catalog, but they'll still be used. They'll just be shared with nursing homes.
Okay,
And that is it for that policy.
okay, I'll entertain a motion then to approve the new policy with the changes.
I make a motion we approve the lending policy as modified.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Is there a second?
I second it. Michael Watkins.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion about that? We're ready to vote then.
Kaylee Lester,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
aye. Kaylee Lester,
Shall Tate, aye.
Mike Johnson, aye.
Michael Watkins, aye.
Janice Griffin, aye.
Mark Nichols, aye.
That motion has been approved then.
Okay, the library board meetings policy is at the request of our board chairman. I added some changes to it under meeting agenda in red. The changes are, I'll just read the paragraph. Community members who wish to address the board must submit an agenda item request in writing or via email to the board chair and library director at least 14 days before the board meets, along with any printed materials the speaker wishes to distribute to the board. This allows the board to read the materials in advance. This request should be detailed enough to allow the board chair and director to understand the issue, to individual wishes, the issue, to understand the to understand the issue the individual wishes to discuss. There we go. All members of the community who wish to speak at a board meeting must follow the above rules. There will be no extemporaneous speakers at any board meeting. And then on the next page, I've crossed out a paragraph that spoke of people who wanted to speak that were not in writing. So,
Yeah. So this one is actually updated to replace that one.
yes. Do you want to explain why you wanted these
Yes,
changes?
I do. Since I came back on the board, the meetings that we have where people have taken the time to request to speak, and they have to do it in time for the board to have the board packet to show their names and everything, chances are they already, if they want to speak, they have already decided what they're going to talk about. And at recent meetings, I appreciate the information, But when they get ready to speak and they come up and they drop 5 or 6 page document, it's hard to listen to them while they're talking, while you're trying to thumb through and see generally, what's going on. And so this is not to make it any more complex to speak at the board meeting. It will just make it easier because the board members will already have the printed information that you're going to hand out ahead of time, so we have a chance to read it. And then, having read that, then we can listen to the speaker rather than trying to do both of those things at the same time and, mark. Now, maybe other people don't have that problem, but I really like to know everything that's going to be presented at that one time. So that's the reason I brought this up, not because I'm the president this time. I was going to do this no matter who they elected, because it's my preference to know exactly what is being said and help me to understand it. And that's simply all there is to it. It's not to make extra work on anybody, because you don't have to bring any document if you want to speak. But a lot of people do. They bring other stuff in that they want us to read, and then before they start talking, they hand it to us. And so we're trying to look at that and listen at the same time. It would just make it easier for us, and I think we would have a better understanding of what's going on with the speaker.
So you're taking away the public comments then at the end of the meeting?
We're not actually taking away
No.
public comments, we're just requesting that people ask us 2 weeks in advance to be put on the agenda. So public comments will have to be on the agenda.
Well, the problem I see, which I have no problem with, people having to email their attachments ahead of time. I think that's reasonable. The problem I see is with the timeline. Let's say we have a controversial issue that comes out in the agenda. When do people get to address the board? They don't. Because they have to put their name on the agenda before they even know what the agenda is, right? So it's really backwards. They don't know the agenda until 7 days in advance, but you have to submit your request to speak 14 days in advance. So really that should be kind of reversed in my opinion.
We're assuming they're going to be speaking on something that happened at the previous meeting.
Well, you gotta wait a month to talk about, you're passing it that meeting. You know what I mean? Like, for example, this policy. Well, we're gonna pass it, this policy. They don't have it, they could talk to us about it, but it's gonna be next month after we've already voted on it. You know what I mean? So, I think it's kind of putting the cart in front of the horse as far as if you wanna have a community-centric decision versus a board-centric decision. If you want to have a board-centric decision, this would be the way to do it. But if you don't hear any comments, even at the end of our board meeting, with this, the way this is written, we won't hear any comments. We might get an email later. We might get to hear a comment after a month goes by, to the next meeting. But there's really not, I think it sends the wrong message as far as our interaction with the public in a board meeting. And I think our city council meetings, I know there's at least, a comment period. A lot of times after, a controversial thing, they'll say public comments. So I'll give you 5 or 10 minutes, and they can make a few comments, And I think that's important for a public organization, And we cut out any kind of discussion with these changes.
Okay,
Except for 14 days in advance of an agenda, you don't even know what's on there yet.
So if we strike out, there will be no extemporaneous speakers at any board meeting?
Yeah, I think that takes care of part of it, but I think we maybe should have the agenda saying this is what we're going to talk about this next board meeting, and then people have a time period in there to say, okay, I want to talk on that, And so I think we reverse these. I'm not saying they have to be 7 and 14, but I think the agenda comes out first. Then you have, the public saying, wait a minute, I don't want to do that to my library or whatever it is. And say,
so we put the agenda out earlier?
Yeah, and then the agenda, but then, whenever you add a public speaker within that agenda, that doesn't really affect us that much. Like if we have our agenda items for our policies, and then if you're going to have 2 people speak on that item, or 3 or 4, it doesn't really matter to us that much in advance, you know, but it makes a big difference to the person wanting to speak on those issues.
Right.
Yeah, well, even if we have that, chances are if it's gonna be extemporaneous, they're not gonna have any printed material anyway. They're just going to
Well,
speak on it.
I mean, you know, so you put out an agenda item, and they say, hey, I want to talk about this, and I even have some examples of why this is a bad idea, and you have about, you know, I don't know, 4 or 5 days, something like that, to give them the ability to, they can email their attachments and say, I want to hand these out, and I would like to speak. But the agenda comes out first, so they even know what the meeting's about, to see if they want to speak at the meeting. Because it's pertinent in this meeting. It's not really that pertinent after we voted on it, you know. They feel like they haven't had a voice.
Well, I've been on several boards, and most of them don't have public comment.
I think that's a slippery slope to go down.
You know,
is to
you
take
go to a
away-
school board meeting, you're not gonna get the comment, you know.
That's not a good thing. I
Well,
mean,
but like last meeting was said, we're not a school board, so I
Yeah,
think
we're
that's
not,
a
but
slippery.
I've been on a lot of boards besides that, and we never got public comments.
I think that is a slippery slope to go down, to take
And-
away the public comment.
Well, we're not taking away the public comment. The public can still comment. I'm just saying if they're going to have something to pass out, I would like to have it previous to that so I can study it.
Right, and I agree with that. I would appreciate if you're gonna have handouts.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. But I understand what you're saying, but I also understand what Mark's saying about to me, I feel like the agenda needs to come out first. And then they can look at the agendas and say, well, here are my examples like he said previously. But also, that last sentence there, to me, that sounds like we're taking away public comments, and I don't agree with that.
No, we're
And it
not going to
really-
take away any public comment.
I don't really think, just looking back on the last year, and we, at the end of the meeting, we say, because people they've come to the meeting, they've sat through a 2-hour meeting, they've kept their mouth shut, you know what I mean, for the most part, and, if they had this, if they could say 5 sentences just to let the board hear what their heart is, and it really hasn't been a problem, I don't think. I mean, we've had some long ones, but, I think that's probably behind us for the most part. What's it hurt to say, hey, all right, 2 people on both sides of the issue or whatever? I think that's probably more of a good thing than it's been a problem.
Yeah, and I'm not saying not having any extemporaneous speakers
Yeah.
necessarily. I'm just saying the ones that are coming prepared to speak.
Yeah. Well, in the last sentence it says there's no.
Yeah.
extemporaneous,
That last
whatever that
sentence
word
is-
is.
Well, that's what I said. If you want to take that sentence off, then that'd be fine with me.
Yeah, I think, like I
But
said, there's.
still, if you're coming to speak and you're on the agenda to speak,
Yeah.
then chances are you're going to speak on something that has previously been done, and you've done some research, you have material you want to bring and hand out.
Right.
That's the only thing. I'm not trying to quiet anybody from speaking.
Right.
I'm just saying that if you have material, it's actually to your advantage to give us an opportunity to look at it ahead of time so we can
Yeah.
even respond to it if we wanted to.
I agree, but that really doesn't, so I think there's like I said, I have 2 issues. I think the timelines can be reversed, where you have an agenda, then you have a deadline to speak on that agenda. And then we need to strike
We do
out
have
that. We need to strike it, you can speak next month,
Yeah.
on the topic. You can't speak this
But,
month.
and I understand this perfectly.
I don't think.
Let me just put it out there.
Okay.
So, even if you take that out, you still have to ask 14 days in advance to speak, right?
Yes.
And there will be no public comment at the end, is that correct?
If you want to have public comment at the end, we can do that. If you
can
don't,
keep
then you
that.
don't. Yeah, we can do that.
But you've marked it out, I'm just asking.
Right, well, I think
So
the
we
wording,
all understand what we're talking
the
about.
wording is just a little confusing. Yeah, that very last sentence, to the ones that have spoken.
Okay, we'll scratch that then.
Well, let me propose something, and y'all
Okay.
tell me where, it says the agenda is sent out to the board 7 days in advance. could we maybe put that, and Vanessa, tell me if this is feasible, 12 days, 7 days?
A week is the only time, I mean, I can't get it to you sooner than
I
that.
wouldn't, well,
Because I don't always know everything that, if I did it any sooner, then that's all I would do. My whole job would be just doing
Okay.
the agenda.
Okay.
I would get to do all my other stuff. Really, it's,
okay, yeah.
Well, let's leave that 7, let's change the 14 to 5. It gives the public,
Or 48 hours.
well,
it gives the public 2 days to say, and then,
no,
you know,
it needs, the reason it's 14 days is that way it gives me a week to get it on the agenda.
I know, but we're talking about a person's name. You know, we have public speakers, we're talking about adding this person's name to a Word document, you know. And then they email the board and, you know, and, I mean, I don't think that's, now, when we get to the board meeting, I mean, I don't have a problem if I get here and you've added a couple names from when I got the agenda 7 days prior. I don't have a problem with that. I mean,
Well, I do know. I do have, because we have.
She has to have a deadline.
well,
to
you
make this work.
can resend it, fine. If there's nobody that gets on it, you don't have to resend it, but if somebody comes in within those 2-day period, then you have to resend it out and say, okay, we added 2 names.
And it takes me a long time to do that, because I have to work through someone else to do it, and we have to reprint packets. We do all this a week ahead, I mean, I really need the
All
time,
right, let me ask
just
you
because of
this.
so many other things that we have to do.
Let me ask you this, how many days does a person who wants to get on the next month's agenda, when do they have to tell you that they want on the next month's agenda?
Well, it's 12 days now, but it really needs to be 14 days so that it's just 2 weeks, because it takes me a week to get this agenda together.
Okay,
And,
so
and to get to you, and for
Okay.
you to have a week to look at it before the meeting.
I mean, technically,
So how does someone from the public speak on the agenda?
Well, they let me know, they want to speak, and
They
then.
don't know the agenda yet.
when is the?
No, they're not speaking on the agenda, they're
Okay.
speaking on an issue that they wanna talk about.
or
Well, they were
three.
talking about doesn't necessarily have to
Things
be.
be a lot calmer, if they're very passionate about it, they speak the next month, bring us whatever.
I just
Then
think
we won't
that's,
have all this repetitive stuff.
I don't think that's the way public meetings are meant to be.
That's where they're coming, most
Well,
of them conduct.
So,
Most library board meetings don't have public speakers, don't have the public speaking.
Right, I mean, we added that because people wanted to, you
Yeah.
know.
People want to speak, yeah. And the only thing I'm saying is, I'm not trying to keep anybody from speaking, I'm saying, if you're gonna speak, and you're gonna go to all the trouble to, get material together, I'd like to, when they send, you're already on the agenda to speak. So when she sends the agenda out, she'll send out what you have prepared for us to read. If you don't have anything for us to read, that's fine. So it's not making any more work for anybody, other than the person who wants to speak at the board meeting, if they have something to hand out, to have it prepared, so we can get it ahead of time.
so if you're wanting to cut out the public comments at the end, is there some kind of compromise on that? Maybe we
Sure.
can say,
We can do
pick a
it.
number or something, and.
But
No, that's too complicated.
I
We'll
do
look and
like
see if
the
anybody wants to
previous
see.
meetings, like Janice has handled, if there was a controversial issue, she said 2 from each side,
Yeah.
or 1 from each side.
There's
and I
nothing that keeps
appreciate-
that from happening here.
Okay, well, that last
Yeah, they
sentence.
are.
Yeah, that last sentence.
Well, I said, let's scratch the last sentence then, if you think that's gonna make that happen.
That's it, move on.
Yep,
Okay, well, we can remove the extemporaneous
Yeah.
speakers, and then you can continue to decide, at the meetings,
If we want something
specifications
to
regarding
say.
how many people may
If you won't
speak.
let them speak,
yeah,
you can just let them speak.
right.
Okay,
It's
Okay.
fine.
so we'll basically go back to the way we were, except that
You'll have this,
Except for you have 2 more extra days.
yeah, except for it needs to be 14
and they're gonna
days.
have material if they're on the agenda.
Yes, if
Okay,
if they wanna present materials, they have to send those 2
That's
weeks ahead.
exactly what I wanted.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
All right, we got there,
Okay.
folks.
So 2
Let's
weeks.
get
That was
a,
clear as mud, wasn't it?
Yeah.
do we
I don't
have,
know about that.
do we have a motion then to approve this? And then if you don't wanna do it, you can not approve it. And that's with the last line scratched, okay?
But how about all this that's marked out?
I'll
Yeah.
put that back in, except for the part, I'll put it all back in, but I'll change the days.
Okay.
Can we have it reworded and then us vote on it, since it is
Yeah.
confusing?
Reword it for
Or is
next-
that something we need?
Oh, okay,
Just
let's,
with the crossing out, like, let's have an actual, or do you wanna read through it, Vanessa?
well, if you want to wait and vote on this next month, I'll rewrite it.
I mean, I can vote, I'm ready, but if you could, just tell us exactly what you're gonna say, blended with the paragraph that has been marked out.
Okay, the paragraph marked out, the only thing I'll change, I think, is the 12 days to 14.
And added materials.
And what, sorry?
They must, if they have any printed materials, they also have to.
Yeah, well, that's on the first page.
Okay,
Let's see.
so the 12 days to 14, okay?
Okay, then so, are you gonna vote on that then?
Yeah, so,
Okay.
here's what we're going to do. We're going to leave that paragraph in. That has that. Take off the last sentence on it's printed in red. Okay? Now, I'll entertain a motion to approve that. If that's what you want, then you vote, when you have an opportunity to vote, you vote yes. And if you don't like that, then you vote no. All right, here we go.
I'm taking on this.
So are you gonna blend those two paragraphs, Vanessa?
I'm sorry, what?
Are you going to blend those two sections? Because, I mean, in a
Yes.
sense, they're kind of repetitive, okay,
Yeah, I'll blend them.
okay.
I'll make it look nice.
Okay, any other questions? All right. Will someone make a motion then to approve what we just discussed?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Okay, is there a second?
I shall take second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All right, we're ready to vote.
Vanessa, would you mind, to bring
No,
the
can't,
proper
no.
wording at the next meeting?
Sure,
Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah, we'll post it on the website too.
Okay, we're already in the process here, so
I, Kaylee Lester.
I shall take.
I'm Mike Johnson.
I'm Michael Watkins.
Janice Griffin.
Mark Nichols.
Okay, that motion's been approved then.
We're gonna have a completely new one next month, right?
Yes. I'll send it to you next month.
Okay.
Okay,
I'll send it to you
And
when
I'm
I
not
get
real
it
sure
done.
what I voted over here. Thank you.
Take
We
this.
marked that, we're adding that,
I think we
we
took
marked
that
this
out
out.
and we put that back.
We'll put that back.
All right, is there any new,
It's gonna be 14 days to 12, right?
is there any new business?
Basically, all we're doing is counting extra days, and they need to have material for
Ready?
it.
Any new business, Mr. Director?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we had someone who wants to do a public comment. Joni McNabb, is she here today, this evening? Okay. And who's gonna be our timer?
I got it.
Okay,
I'm ready when you are.
do you have any handouts?
Only if you want it at the end.
Okay, well, that's fine, we can take it at the end, I just
Okay, yeah, no.
like to have it at
We're
this
good.
time. Yeah, go ahead, ready?
Good evening, I appreciate your time this evening. My name is Joni McNabb. I'm the organizer and chapter chair of Moms for Liberty, Craighead County. Our chapter was created in September of 2022. Each county chapter is a 501c4 entity under the National Moms for Liberty organization. Our founders are Tiffany Justice and Tina Diskovich. They're moms on a mission who are stoking the fires of liberty. Moms for Liberty welcomes anyone and everyone who has a desire to stand up for parental rights at all levels of government. We are dedicated to fighting for the survival of America by uniting, educating, and empowering parents. We do all of this by holding leaders accountable, spreading awareness, and opposing government overreach. We hold meetings and invite speakers to educate membership on a variety of topics. At each meeting, we also have a Madison moment, which focuses on learning about the U.S. Constitution and our Declaration of Independence. Now that you know a little bit about Moms for Liberty, I'd like to address some of the slanderous statements made last month about our chapter by Shanoa Summers. Let me first say, Mrs. Summers was invited by myself to attend our January meeting, which hosted Senator Sullivan to discuss the upcoming legislative session. She did not respond to my invitation, but organized a protest outside. During her state Senate campaign, I invited Mrs. Summers to sign the Moms for Liberty Parent Pledge. She did not respond to my email. The pledge states, I pledge to honor the fundamental rights of parents, including, but not limited to, the right to direct education, medical care, and moral upbringing of their children. I pledge to advance policies that strengthen parental involvement and decision-making, increase transparency, defend against government overreach, and secure parental rights at all levels of government. If this is something you agree with, I invite you to sign it. The First Amendment states, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. The amendment is a restriction placed on Congress. Nowhere does it state or imply children have the right to read whatever they want, and that's what was stated last month. I have extra copies of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence if anyone would like one. Mrs. Summers characterized Moms for Liberty as a hate group and said she had been on Zoom chapter calls. Our chapter has not held any meetings via Zoom. Additionally, she stated that Haley Lester is a member of our chapter. This is false. Mrs. Lester, along with many others, has joined our Moms for Liberty Craighead County Facebook page, but this does not constitute membership. Our membership requires registration, paying dues, and agreeing to and adherence to our chapter bylaws and code of conduct. Just as each public library has many things in common, each is unique. Our chapter has not engaged in any book challenges or book rating suggestions to date. The rating information Mrs. Summers stated is operated by Moms for Liberty is false. Neither our chapter nor National Moms for Liberty has a book rating system. An organization called BookLooks is being used by some chapters to independently evaluate books in public school libraries. Their system is similar to how movies are rated. It's not connected to Moms for Liberty or promoted by our national organization. It is free, and I encourage you to look at their website. I've printed off the content-based rating from the BookLooks website. It might be worth your time to look at and consider if this system could eliminate some of the content-based issues this library has been in discussion over. A desire by parents to have an easy way to supervise our children's book content does not constitute book banning. When my children were young, I loved coming to the library and letting them wander through the aisles. My only concern at that time was that they might choose a book beyond their reading capabilities, or that my son would choose one with dinosaur names that I in no way could pronounce. I recently became a grandparent, and now I wonder, will I have to monitor my grandchildren more closely than I did my own in the library? That question alone will keep me vigilant and will continue to hold those in power accountable. I thank you for your time, and if you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them.
Thank you.
And if anyone would like one.
Thank you for speaking and for the clarification. Is this the only copy?
No, I got it.
And this content rating is from BookLooks, you said?
Correct.
Yeah, I just spelled
Yeah,
that.
it's booklooks.org.
Looks, Looks.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, at this time, the board is going to go into executive session, and we'll remain there. The meeting is not officially over until we come out of executive session because we can't dismiss it. We have to dismiss in public, but we're going into executive session to talk about employment. You're welcome to stay, but you're also welcome to go. Will they leave it or we leave it?
We're gonna go into civic league.
Okay.
My question was, if it's, I have a key. If it is executive session, how does this work with secretary duties? I don't think it does.
No.
Okay,
Yeah, you can. Yes, Texas, you're already.
let me know when you'll adjourn.
We'll have adjourned.
Yeah, if y'all y'all can just make note of that.
Anything else that's happened, then we adjourn.
And I can,
I will get these notes,
Okay, you gonna stay in here?
I'll stay wherever you need to.
Okay.
y'all are going to civic league,
Oh, gotcha.
The security guy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's in the civic league grant. I'll go over the second session.
Now, he's
Pass John's office to the lady.
Yeah.